In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down a piano ballad type beat. So hopefully from this video, you take away the basic fundamentals and elements of what makes up a piano ballad instrumental. If you are a music artist or a music producer wanting to refine your craft, then this is the video for you. So firstly, let's have a quick listen to the production that we're going to be breaking down today. So this is the production I've got here, and I'll play you from the chorus where everything's involved so you get the best idea of what we're breaking down. So as you can hear, there's a real mix of the emotional feel of the piano blended in with some acoustic guitar and some motivational and inspiring, we'll call it, drum grooves as well as strings. So I'm going to show you in this video not only how to write a string section, but how you can make that sound of the drums, and also how you can add in acoustic guitar, some plugins I also recommend for acoustic guitar if you're not a guitarist yourself, and of course the piano. So with that all out the way, just before I do get into the video, guys, I do want to quickly mention something called Samples by Jagorchi. This is my new sample pack website. If you're a music artist or producer who is struggling to think of new ideas for productions, then I have free download samples that you can download and use in your production completely free. There are terms and conditions. There's currently 8 on the website as it's new. And also, if you're looking for fresh inspiration, I also have some sample packs, electric guitar only and piano only. 30 samples of each instrument on there to get you started on new production ideas. But with that all out the way, let's jump back into the video of what it is that we are learning today, and that is how to make a piano ballad production. So we're going to start with the piano. That is the obvious place to start. Now for the piano today, we are using Contact. For those of you who have Contact, you may have heard of this, the Maverick. This is one of my favorite VST pianos because there's so many good little piano sounds you get out of this. It's a grand piano and we're using the Jazzy Maverick. But again, for piano ballads, I highly recommend that grand pianos are one of the best types of pianos to actually use for a ballad because it's got a real warmth and low end, as an upright piano can be quite bright and quite stabby. So the grand piano is the way you want to go when you're using piano for your piano ballad. So this is the groove I've come up with. It's quite repetitive today in the 4 chord sense. So this is the piano melody. One thing I always say with the pianos is always try to have some sort of movement because it just makes things sound a lot more interesting than just playing in the block chords. Now, layering with that piano, we have the low piano. Now, I like to add in, especially for choruses, to add a little bit of an extra lift, is the low end of the piano and add some bass notes. So again, we're using the Maverick as well. Don't need to show you that again, but we've also now got the root note as well. Very simple, but when you layer it with this, it just adds a nice stamp in the low end, which helps from a mix point of view. So when you get into the choruses, you can add this and all of a sudden the piano is elevated. So it's just a little trick that you can use as producers. Then on top of that, now we have the acoustic guitar, because this is another element that goes really well. That piano acoustic blend is really cool. Now, if you're someone who doesn't play the acoustic guitar, I can understand it can be very hard to find the right acoustic guitar VST plugins that work for you. Now, I'm going to recommend one to you now, which I definitely think you should use. Now this is the Strummed Acoustic 2 by Native Instruments. I use this for all my strummed acoustic guitar. It's got loads of different patterns in there. I also do have the Strummed Acoustic as well, which is its predecessor. Now both of these are really good because it contains a lot of samples, a lot of loops. For example, if I was to play something on the piano for you now, on my keyboard rather, it triggers these loops. So let's just go to here, click record, and now if I play on my keyboard, you can hear you got all these different sounds, and then this is one of the patterns I use, and this is just holding down a C, and it's just really handy if you don't play acoustic guitar, and it always sounds great out the tin is what I like to say. So I've got these 2 different patterns here which I've layered with the piano, and this is what we get, a mixture of muted and strummed, by the way. If you're wondering, it's the power chord loops as well. I absolutely love them. They're really good just to layer in any sort of production. Adds a little bit of momentum, a little bit of development to productions. Now next was the bass, just to accompany that low piano. We do want something a bit more established in the low end, so that's why I wanted just to put a simple bass line in. We're just using the Sub B bass by Logic Pro X, just the simple preset, and it just layers nicely to create that nice low end warmth and the sub. Again, this is just playing in the choruses because it adds that little bit of a stamp which triggers to our ears a perception that something has changed from the verse to the chorus, again helping with that sense of development. It's just the little things that not all producers consider, which I really highly recommend that you should consider with your productions. Development is a very important part. So yeah, this is what it is. Now let's have a listen to what we've done with the drums. So for the drums, at the moment I am loving the Abbey Road 80s drummer in Contact by Native Instruments. I absolutely love using it for a lot of things, but today I wanted to have that real sort of motivational running sort of drums to create the sort of drama and almost a little bit of an action-y kind of like feel to it. So this is the drum kit. I'm going to play it all together first and then we're going to break it down. I think that'll be the best way to do it. So firstly, the kick and snare. It's very simple. Again, as you see, the Abbey's 80s Road drummer. Sounds great out of the tin. So I've got this big reverb in it. Let's turn that reverb off so we sound like what it sounds like. Now I added the big reverb again because I wanted to be dramatic and, you know, an emotional piano ballad. It should have the sort of, you know, sense of action to it, like in motivating, especially in Lewis Capaldi type beats. You can hear this a lot, and Adele. So this is why I wanted to have drums that sounded like this. And we've got the ROM reverb by Native Instruments. We've got a very big decay on here of 4.8 seconds, and I'm mixing about 32%, rolled off a little bit of the low end and a little bit more of the high end because I wanted to be sort of like that mid-saturated level. So yeah, that's the kick and snare, and then we layer it with toms. Now the toms, this is something that's super important for this kind of running drum beat, I want to call it, sort of almost like a movie trailer, you could say, or cinematic drums. That's the word I wanted to use, which I couldn't get out of me. So this is the toms, very similar mixing. Again, we're using the Abbey Road 80s drummer. Then we've got a sample delay on both of these, so we've got one tom, and then we got this. Two different toms mixed together. Now this is to create a really good stereo spread. I've split the toms up, then I've done a sample delay left and right. So not only does this double up the sound of the toms to make them sound even bigger and thicker, but then also they're panned out to the sides of the mix, so they're not creating too much noise and too much, you know, congestion in the middle of the mix. So it mixes really well. And then with that as well, we've just got a couple of different risers and one shots, as well as the kick thump, which is a personal favorite of mine. This is to add a nice little bit of, again, cinematic feel to it. Have a listen to this. Little stamp like that. Sound design is a very important part of any sort of mix. So I just wanted to add that in as well. I found these all in Splice, and you can find them too in Splice as well. Splice, even though it's only $6.99 or $9.99 a month, can't really remember off the top of my head, but it's really good for this sort of thing. So don't knock it. And there's nothing wrong with Splice either. You don't have to own a million gazillion plugins which are worth like thousands of dollars when you could just pay $6.99 a month, and Splice can give you so many things like this, like these little one shots and these crashes. Really cool, and also really easy to find, and a lot of them I have saved, so I use the same ones in multiple productions. So that's really cool. And now the last thing that we just need to talk about is the string section. Now, for those of you who watch my channel quite a lot, you'll know I'm a huge fan of Omnisphere's Hollywood string section, the Hollywood Studio string section by Omnisphere. I use these in a lot of my piano ballads, and I make a lot of piano ballad beats for my beat store. I can't speak today. So this is the string section that I've built up. Now how I like to build my strings up personally is to have 4 different fundamentals to it. We've got the root, we've got the body, we've got the melodic value, and we've got the ear candy. So the ear candy is that little high presence, the airy part of the strings. The body is just the chords. The bass is following the low end, and the melodic value is exactly what I'm saying. It's you're basically creating some sort of movement so the strings aren't just blocky and boring. So let's just quickly listen to what they sound like by themselves. So you've got the bass, which is very boring. It's just following the root note. Then you've got the chords. And again, that melodic value, and it never has to be complicated. It's just something different that our ears can hear. Just something different just to mix things up and make it sound more interesting. And then the ear candy, the highs. And when you put it all together, that is literally the mix. It's very simple, and just how I've structured it for this one specifically is I'd like to sometimes with my ballads start with just piano, and in every single 4 to 8 bars, make sure you're adding something new. So in this case, I've started with the piano, then I've added an acoustic guitar, laid in the bass for the pre-chorus, and then go into the chorus, but have the melodic value of the strings not included in there, so we have some development down the line, and then we go back into it just with the drums this time to build up a sense of development for the second verse, into the pre-chorus, and then another chorus that hits hard, but then taking out the sub bass for the second part of the second chorus, so it feels like it's starting to de-escalate in terms of like the cinematic value of it into a nice broken down chorus, bridge rather, and finishing with the final chorus with everything. And that's how I structured out. So yeah, I hope this video helped, and if you made it this far, thank you so much, and smash that subscribe button, by the way, if you're not already. But thank you so much for watching. I hope this video helped. Keep making music, and I will see you in the next video.